My name is Matt Boots.
I'm Angel from Angel's Clubhouse.
And I'm Ho from Green Lounge LA. And this is The Struggle. Yeah, my sponsor, Dust Luxury Cannabis. We got gold weed, diamond weed, and the one that everybody likes is the indica strand, bro.
The indica, yeah.
Yeah, it's a blue weed, right? And it has a shimmer to it, and it's strong as fuck. These people read these books, and if they aren't familiar, we got the books right here. Check it out. Your boy got the Gangsta Jake. You feel me?
That's the part 3. That's the third one.
Peace Treaty,
Peace Treaty
2017. We also got the Gangsta Jake, the end result of a snitch.
That's what started it all right there.
You feel me? The very first one, you feel me? And then we got the Nairi Jace, Gangsta Jake, and this is 2, if I'm not mistaken, right?
This is 2, yeah. Path to Terror.
Okay, so there we go. So, I'm pretty sure people are familiar with urban books. And if you know, then you know who I'm talking to.
Personal life, like everything you say and do, move, where like it's gonna be out there. You could put it out there as something positive, and they'll put it like I just seen something with Neo, and they was like, oh, looks like Neo's with another woman, look like he's on a vacation or a vacation. If he is, so what? That's this man's business. He all the way not even in America, and they blasting him. But people can't just go and just be and be free. Like they still normal people. Yeah, they got a lot of money. They in the limelight.
I'm Hove, and this is
Jasen T. Davis.
all right, Jason. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's the first to have a writer. A script. Ooh, I almost failed. That was gonna be a first too, right? So, I first came into contact with you regarding a script called Populous, right?
Yes, sir. The Populous.
I was impressed with the layout because you did take time to give me script and multi different formats with it, and I thought it was funny without giving away what it's about because it's not released or dropped yet. No Easter eggs just yet, right?
Yeah.
So, what made you come up with these scripts? What got you into scripts? Let's start there. Let's get shallow real quick.
Every great horror movie, when you watch it, the big ones, Friday the 13th, The Thing, any work of horror fiction, it's talking about the human condition. And to me, a proper horror film is trying to say something about humanity, to try to fix it or to show that there's a problem.
So let's stop for the slow. You believe that horror is addressing humanity's mental illness.
It's addressing both mental illness and the concept of when you think of the monster in humanity.
Okay.
The monster is actually what we don't like, what we're afraid of. Now, maybe the monster is justified. Freddy in Nightmare on Elm Street is a terrible, terrible, reprehensible human being. And yet Freddy is a stand-up comic. Freddy says funny things. Freddy delivers funny one-liners. He is the most horrific type of person ever, and yet we watch Nightmare on Elm Street not for the reoccurring characters, but for Freddy, who's funny. See, that to me is that comedy and horror are the same. The laugh is the same as the scream.
You think so?
Yeah.
So is that why you do comedy as well?
Oh yeah. My comedy, if you were to watch a lot of comedians and say to yourself, well, what are they saying about the human condition? Throughout my comedy, at least, it's always horror. It's always death, suicide, violence, despair. I think that's what I'm trying to have people feel better about. Like a person, I have comedian friends, I won't say their names.
Hold on, like a grief counselor?
Yeah.
You're a dark humor grief counselor?
Yeah.
All right.
See, if I had been, I have a little bit about alcoholism in my humor, but I know comedians who talk about drug addiction and alcoholism because they face it.
Right.
So that's what they make fun of.
Okay.
You make fun of your enemy.
Okay. That makes good sense. So at what point did you say, yo, I'm doing this for real. I'm going to quit my day job and I'm going all in?
I got fired.
Okay, so the decision was made for you.
Yeah, I was writing for some people, and I was a good writer, but it's just that they wanted to do one thing, and I respect that, and they were a business, and so when it came down to me or them, they were like, well, you're new, so you're out of here. And I realized that it was going to keep being that way. That I had to go after Hollywood completely because my day job, I would never be loyal to it. I would always be more loyal to Hollywood, to making films, being a comedian, and being an actor.
Okay. So the question now is, because I talk to a lot of artists. I don't know if you watch the show. I've talked to a lot of artists, promoters, and stuff like that from all over the world, to be honest. And it's the first time I get to talk to a script writer, right? So what is you guys' world like? Because, you know, we know what the rappers' world is like. You know, it's the most dangerous sport in America right now.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah. How to Kill a Rapper. This is probably going to be the next TV show.
Yeah.
But what is it like for you guys? What are your politics like? And like, how do you guys, what do you battle?
To me, there's a type of person on this earth. Mm-hmm. They're a type of humanity, and you got to respect it. They just exist. And they're jealous of you. Okay. They're jealous, they're competitive, they're insecure, and they're trying to take you down. And if you're funny, they want to take your jokes away and say they made the jokes. And if you are inventive, they want to take your ideas away. And a lot of people who get in the industry, they start out with that dream, and then their dreams get taken away. So you learn to be careful. You know, like you guys made me sign an NDA. Very intelligent. Of course you make people sign an NDA because
they'll take us on blast. Y'all see that, people?
but it's smart. It's smart. And that's what you learn in Hollywood is the nice thing is if they keep trying to steal your jokes and your ideas, then you are worth something, right?
Right. You got a fan too.
Yeah.
They got to follow you.
Hey, you're gold, so that's why they keep taking you, because you're gold. They're trying to get you, you know? That's how, at least you can feel that way. They go, well, of course he stole my joke. It was a good joke.
So you talk about humor and you talk about horror. What is the humor and the horror in Hollywood in your genre? What is the monster of Hollywood for script writers? Like besides having to go to a P. Diddy party, what else you guys got to face?
Oh, what am I afraid of in Hollywood?
Yeah, what's the monster in Hollywood?
I think that people are afraid of being interviewed. You know, what if they say the wrong thing? What if they say something stupid or look stupid? I mean, I already look stupid, so I don't have to worry about that. But the idea is that you're afraid of talking to people who then will go, okay, I'm the gatekeeper. If you convince me, I'll let you make a movie. I'll buy your script. You got to convince me.
But I mean, we say gatekeeper as if it's negative. I mean, because lately it has been a negative connotation. But really, there's somebody at a company, at every company you know, there's a person in every family you know, that is a gatekeeper that says whether this goes or not. And it's for a reason, right? For guidance, for direction and stuff like that. So, like, yeah, is it really them gatekeeping, or is it you not being prepared to be sellable? Because they're gatekeeping the door to money most times, right? So are you marketable? Are you sellable? Not if this product is good, written right or written correct. Is this sellable in today's market?
Yeah.
Is that something you guys face, or is it just straight gatekeeping?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that people like for instance, I try to always write a horror script that is original, that is about something that ain't being done. Like right now, vampires. I feel bad for the script writer who loves vampires, because vampires are kind of done. Okay. See, so there's this thing of you may have a great idea now.
Not gangster ghetto vampires.
That'd be a good one. I actually wanted to do...
Thank you, you're welcome.
There you go, I owe you a check. I owe you a check. But yeah, it's the idea that when you are in Hollywood and you're talking to a person who goes, well, why should I buy your script? Now you got to convince them. And that convincing, it's kind of like, well, but what if I don't have the personality? What if I'm not funny? What if I'm not interesting? What if I say something stupid or irritate the person or remind them of their worst enemy? So even though I could have turned this script into a movie, I didn't impress this person. And maybe I wasn't good enough. There's a harsh reality that in relation to your question, a person, God bless his heart, asked me, hey, can I be on your show doing comedy? And I looked at him and I said, no. And he went, why? And I'm all, you have not suffered like the comedians I pay for 10 minutes. They have suffered. And this guy just started. I'm all, then it would be an insult to them. They have suffered. They have sacrificed. And now they're in my show. If I just go, oh, here, be on my show, then it's nothing. You know, and he didn't understand that.
Okay. That makes sense. But then, could that be his power too? Hey, yo, come get in the show. Everybody does it.
One day when he's in the show, he'll know that he's good enough. And that I said,
he'll respect it. He'll understand there's value for it. So let's talk about your comedy shows. How did that start off? Getting fired too?
Oh, well, yeah.
You literally need a fire up your ass, I guess.
Getting fired. I think that a lot of actors and comedians and hip hop artists, rappers, writers, songwriters got fired. And I think that in their heart, they always thank the boss that said, "You're free now. You can fly.
Just
you
go.
know, just do it, man." That in their heart, they probably thought, you know what? That boss fired me and he was a jerk, but now I would give anything to thank him. You know, I bet they feel that way when they finally make it.
You think so?
I hope so. It means that they become a better person. I mean, I personally am happy that I got fired from that job long ago.
What was that job, by the way?
It doesn't matter. I worked for a company called WaterWise, and they were a company that that wrote grants for water projects in California.
Okay.
But the problem is it was a shady business.
Okay.
And one time I said to him, "Hey, how come somebody just doesn't build a dam and save water?" And they go, "Because that way we can always be in a drought." And I go, "But then if we're always in a drought, everything's more expensive." And they go, we're getting paid by the state of California to never fix a problem, so we'll always be, and they go, "Yeah, so people have to pay us more money." And then I realized I was basically working for like the water mafia.
Yeah. Welcome to America.
And that's what the plot of Chinatown's about. If you ever watch Chinatown, that's really the plot of Chinatown, is what the company I worked for, they're kind of the end result of these people who are using water projects and then making sure that you always have to pay too much because you washed your car. Well, why didn't your tax dollars go to building a dam? That's the plot of Chinatown.
Right. Makes it okay. So that's an interesting concept too.
Yeah.
So you've been in different genres. Where are you hoping to go with this? I mean, because you're doing a little bit of this, you're doing a little bit of that, and that's basically telling me you're reaching, you're clawing to get to the top. The question is, what is the top to you?
Well, the reason I got into producing comedy shows is I saw a lot of friends and people I respected, and they needed a place to perform comedy, and they needed a place to be themselves.
Okay.
And what I like about being a producer who does stand-up and music is if I write a script and I control their words and I control their emotions and I control everything, who are they? They're basically robots. Whereas if I do a comedy show, everybody can do their own thing. The guy who's doing music can do any 4 songs he wants. Stephen Marcus Rutherford knows I will never control anything he says. He can do 20 minutes of whatever humor is funny. And that's the beauty of producing a show. People still have free speech. They still have the ability to go up there and be themselves, but they get paid, they have structure, and they have protection, of course.
Well, let's talk about comedy. How many times should you let a comic on the stage before you put them on the show? Because let's be honest, there's a lot of comics. I throw shows myself. I ain't a promoter. I'm more like about the artist and the comedian. You know what I'm saying? Actually getting their art and actually getting their bones, as some people call it.
Yeah.
What's a good amount of shows a person should do before they even think about TV? In your question, in your mind.
The problem is film and TV and film is very different than theater, and it's very different than.
So say if you get a stand-up artist, right? How many shows should they do stand-up before they think about even doing a stand-up act on TV?
Oh, doing a stand-up act on TV. Oh, that's well, there's this thing called the 5. That's the 5 minutes that a person has. That's their toughest, strongest 5 minutes. And I don't really know what I would tell any comedian. I don't consider myself to be a very good comedian. I see myself as being a comedic theater actor who produces comedy shows. And I constantly tell the comedians I work with, they're better than me, they're smarter than me, they're funnier than me, they're better comedians than me, and I respect them, And so if a person said, "What should I do?" I'm like, well, if they want to film you and you're on TV, you're ready. There are people who've been on film and TV and they're 16 years old,
Right.
But I do think a comedian should have an hour's worth of humor if they want to be like that.
What's the process for a comedian to even come up with that?
It depends on the comedian.
Okay.
I have a way of coming up with jokes that's dramatically different than other people.
Why so?
To me, a joke is like a math problem.
Okay.
That if you look at what must be said, for instance, I told a joke 10 years ago, and then 10 years later, I saw a comedian tell the exact same joke in the Comedy Chateau. But I would never think that he stole it. It's simply because there was no other choice but for that joke to happen. That humor is inevitable. When somebody says something, a lot of people go, "Oh, I thought of that. Why didn't I write it down?"
Now, how many times do you actually have to deal with that coincidence? Because that's possible, right? That scenario. And how much have you had to deal with someone outright stealing your stuff? Because the comedy it's not fun and games.
Just recently, I worked on a comic book where they basically, even though my name was on the comic, they kept stealing the jokes or muffling the jokes or getting rid of the jokes and then replacing it with their own jokes. And at one point, I said to the guy that you have to realize the joke that you're doing is new to them, but it was based on a YouTube meme about energy drinks being very, very crazy, that if you drink this energy drink, you'll become 30 feet tall and be made of biceps. And they thought that was funny, and I'm all, that was funny a long time ago. Now it keeps coming back as a joke, this idea that an energy drink is so scary, and if you drink it, you'll become really strong, and it's madness. But I told them, if you're gonna replace my jokes with newer jokes, they gotta put their name on it. And that's the problem, is in my industry, it's very competitive. Okay. A producer will read a comic, a script writer will read a comic and go, oh, this guy isn't that good. And they think you wrote it, you know? And so I would tell anybody, you know, if you're writing humor, be very careful. That not only will they try to steal your jokes, but they'll try to get rid of your jokes.
How? How can I get rid of your jokes when you write them? You say them wherever the hell you want. How can you get rid of a joke?
Don't print it. Give it away. Like, let's say you're writing.
Give it away sound dangerous. They just overprint it.
Well, it's like, let's say the punchline is that a person that you're following is going to end up being dramatically different. So the surprise, the punchline to this joke is if the person sees that the person they're looking at is dramatically different. Now the punchline is that change in appearance. But if they give away the appearance and give away your punchline, now it ain't funny anymore.
Right.
Also, like if you tell a joke, I could take your joke and then replace some of the subjects and now it's my joke. And that can happen a lot in writing and in comedy too. Where instead of a joke about...
How would you prevent that though?
I can tell you what works and what I've seen is that a person like me who writes mathematical jokes is kind of doomed in stand-up because you ultimately have to be a character. You have to be a person, and a funny person, a comedian who is a character. That is what saves the day. That Emo Phillips isn't just a guy who writes Emo Phillips jokes. He's Emo Phillips. He has an appearance. He has a look. Stephen Marcus Relaford, another guy that I work with all the time, he headlines all my shows. He's not telling jokes. He is a very, very genius, intelligent person who's making jokes based on what he sees, but it's his person, his character, that is funny, you know?
Okay.
It's like if you were to take... like there was a series where Darth Vader kept being in normal situations where it was like Darth Vader's brother and he works at the supermarket and he's the manager of whatever. And that's what a comedian should be, is so different that when they say the joke, it is them saying the joke. It is them being funny. And then you end up with your own series. You end up with your own TV show or film.
Okay. That's an interesting spot.
Yeah.
So, you've done all this. What is the end goal?
Getting my phone not to ring during an interview, because that's my phone right now.
Rich enough for your phone not to ring during an interview. Got it. What 12 figures?
I would not pay a comedian who wasn't good. And there is an idea that comedians have to bring people, but you know that's not called bringers. And I try not to do that. That I feel as a promoter and a producer, my job is to bring in the people. I don't hold the comedians accountable. I used to. Now I don't, because it's unfair to them. And I feel it this way. When Star Wars comes out, people want to see Star Wars. And Disney markets Star Wars, and they do the commercialization, and they do everything. It's not the actor's fault that people don't show up.
Right.
So as long as a comedian is funny, that's fine. But I no longer expect a comedian to show up with 10 people. I got into an argument with a comedian once, and it was my fault. I should have kept my mouth shut. But he said, I have 61,000 followers. So if I'm on your show, then you should pay me. And I said, yeah, but despite the fact that they have 61,000 followers, nobody showed up for their show. So I said, I can only conclude that social media has nothing whatsoever to do with the number of people that will show up for a comedian show.
It doesn't.
If you have 2 million followers on social media, I have 1,000 followers on social media or whatever. I don't expect 1,000 people to show up for my show.
Exactly. Right.
And I don't even know the ratio, but I do know Chris Rock will sell out whatever Chris Rock does because he is Chris Rock. He is a genius. He is brilliant. His jokes are freaking awesome. You write down a Chris Rock joke and it's still funny. Through space and time, Chris Rock is funny. And so there you go. If you pay him, you're going to sell out the house. And I think every producer wants to do that. They want to make sure people show up for that comedian. But I want to, as a producer, give people opportunity. And I want to help them move up too.
So the question would be then, how do you promote a show for somebody a comedy show for comics that not known?
That's unknown?
Mm-hmm. Because that's what you're doing, right? That's what you said you pretty much had to do. Because if you're saying that you're not expecting a comedian to bring in any artist, then how you going to get people to the show and repeat, wash, rinse, repeat?
A lot of what I'm relying on is that they themselves are a independent group that are marketing and promoting themselves. And what's going on is that there are people who go to see a comedian, and then when they say, oh, I'm performing here, you go, oh, let's go see them. And it's kind of like that a couple has a Wednesday off, so they go to see comedy. Then they look up the comedians they like, and they go to see that person. And in my recent show,
so you're hoping they have fans?
Yeah. And also that enough of them will say to themselves, well, we have Wednesday night off. Let's go see a show. Oh, I like that comedian. They were in that last show. I've had people come to my shows again and say they really like Shauna Menderes. They really like Stephen Marcus Rutherford. And so when you see that happen, you go, oh, good. Okay, I'm getting that person discovered. But a lot of them are doing their own thing, too. They don't need me. They're doing just fine marketing themselves and getting famous.
Okay. Okay, so that still didn't answer the question, but
well, yeah, kind of went around.
It's still saying that it goes back to you. If you look at your statement there, you still depend on them to bring an audience.
I do, but
right? Because if they're marketing, doing their own thing, you're still dependent on them to market. Because why else are you in comedy? And if you can't book a show, then why would I bring seats? Like there's that conundrum there, right there, that paradox.
What I'm hoping for, I would plan then, is that people will go, well, Jasen T. Davis's shows are good. Okay. I buy flyers, I will buy commercial space, I'll advertise a lot. But I'm hoping that in the end, people will go to shows because they're my shows. And then I can free the comedian or the musician from the burden of having to worry about that. But comedians do promote themselves just fine without me. Right. So I guess I'm hoping for a handshake then. They'll bring people, but I don't expect them to.
Yeah. Okay. So, because a lot of people is facing that. I know a lot of comedians.
Oh, yeah.
I do. I put on a lot of comedians myself. I started for that very same reason. Because I started with independent artists. And then it was like, man, can you do that for us? Sure. And then I had to find out what they get charged. And I found that out like that. And, they do it free. So it was no problem to get comedians. You can get comedians like a crystal meth head can get crack. So it's very easy to get comedians. Yeah. So as you get to the top and you throw that on, what are you hoping to change about comedy?
The thing is, in comedy, there are places where you pay to perform, but that tends to be for people who are learning, that they're moving up, and it's like a school.
Okay.
So I'm not going to mention people who charge to do that, but I respect them no matter who they are, because they are part of the learning procedure. And so if a person goes, I paid for minutes, I'll go, well, yeah, they're new. And then from then on, every comedian hopes that they're now being picked and being paid because of their own abilities. And of course, you want to be in the clubs. But my goal as a comedian is actually to get noticed as a scriptwriter and to make money writing scripts, and then take the money that I get from writing scripts and produce shows with the extra money.
So that's what you would change about comedy?
The idea that if you can't make a living doing comedy, at least you could make a living being in Hollywood and then still take that money and put it into comedy. That there'd be enough money doing other things. And that's kind of what happens already. But I don't think I can change comedy and make it to where everybody gets paid, you know?
How do you feel about comedy in the state that it's in right now? It's a lot going on, actually.
In Hollywood and in LA, there are different factions of comedians. And some of them hate each other. Some of them have nothing whatsoever to do with each other. Some groups are one way. And like there's a whole group of comedians in LA that just hate me. They're never going to like me. They're never going to accept me, and I accept that. And then there are people that I seem to get along with just fine. And when you watch Hollywood, a lot of people don't realize that when a certain famous comedian takes over a club, they're going to keep other people out. And a lot of what you see in Hollywood that's fascinating to me is a person will make it, and then as soon as they make it as a scriptwriter, they make fun of the people who hurt them on the way there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like in when Childish Gambino did the episode of Atlanta where he made fun of himself for getting revenge on a person who had done something wrong to him. And in the episode, he controls the lady's entire existence to finally show them being destroyed, and then he watches the film. Well, what the actor, the writer, that gentleman was saying was that that's what happens. We make fun of people later after we've made it. And that's what I see in Hollywood.
That's part of life.
Yeah.
That's part of life.
Competition.
So look into that camera for me. And to the guy who just got fucking fired, who really wasn't there. He wasn't doing the Eckhart Tolle living in the moment thing. He was half there at work and really wanted to get fired already anyway.
Yeah.
To that comic, what do you got to say to him?
You got to get to work. And you got to suffer to sing the blues. But you got to work and you got to make money. You got to make money somehow. You can pursue your dreams, but you also got to eat and you got to pay the bills and you got to put gas in your tank. But make sure that your day job does not crush your dreams. But make sure your dreams can feed you, because you can't eat dreams.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Comedy ain't free. Short version. So keep your day job until you're funny enough to buy dinner. Right?
There you go.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we love you. We thank you. We appreciate you as always. But we out. Peace. Man, thank you. Let's get it. All right. So.